This week is CSA Week, the busiest time of year to sign up for a CSA, or Community-Supported Agriculture Share. A CSA share is like a subscription box to the freshest, most flavorful food your local farm has to offer. When you join a CSA, you invest in the farm at the start of the season, and in return, receive a share of the harvest throughout the growing season. Find your farm today using FairShare's interactive farm search map at csacoalition.org/farm-search. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about.
Happy Thursday, Madison. Today we are dishing on our city's food scene, and more specifically, the most important meal of the day, breakfast. Or in my house, it's usually brunch. I'm CityCast Madison executive producer Hayley Sperling, sitting in for your host Bianca Martin. With me today to dig into all of this deliciousness is Cap Times food and culture editor and friend of the pod, Lindsay Christians. Lindsay, hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm so excited to dig into this. And before we get into all of our favorite breakfast and brunch spots here, I gotta know, in the words of our former Madison breakfast mainstay, Short Stack Eatery, are you a sweet or savory gal when it comes to breakfast?
I am mostly savory, which means that if I'm picking up something quick at like a cafe or something where I've gone for coffee, I am looking for like the basic croissant usually, or some like a bagel with cream cheese, something like that, versus the sweeter stuff, which is not to say I don't love sweet things, but oftentimes sweet things in the morning take the form of like straight sugar instead of fruit, and fruit, yay. Powdered sugar, maybe not, you know?
Fair, very fair. I feel like I'm also a savory girl with some sweet tendencies, right? Like I love a warm and savory and cheesy breakfast sandwich, but I'll have a like kind of sugary coffee with that too. But I also, my ultimate like sweet savory mix is, and don't hate me for this, the McGriddle from McDonald's. Are you familiar with that?
I probably should be because I live in the world, but what is that?
You don't need to be, actually. It's
okay.
It's delicious. It's like a breakfast sandwich, but instead of like an English muffin or a bagel or something as the bread, it's these pancakes essentially, and they have like little maple syrup crystals in them. So it's like the sweetness in the bread that's holding together the savoriness. I usually go for the bacon, egg, and cheese, and that holds it all together. And it's delicious, Lindsay. I can't lie. I'm not a McDonald's gal, but I do love a McGriddle. I want to talk about all of our favorite local breakfast and brunch spots here. But before we get into these places, I gotta be honest, like, is there really a difference between breakfast and brunch? Like, where is the line? Is it just about vibes?
I mean, I think the line is alcohol.
That's fair. That's so fair.
To me, like, it's a time thing a little bit, but I'm a night owl, so I'm often up late and I'm eating late in the morning. So I do think like a difference, like when I'm in Chicago for a show and then we go out to brunch the next day, I'm looking for a place that like I can have a Bloody Mary or a mimosa, or even like an espresso drink of some kind with a little bit of coffee liqueur in there or something fun. So I do think of one of the differences of brunch as being alcohol. And maybe length, too. Like, I feel like if I'm out for breakfast, it's pretty quick. And brunch, it's like, you're going to linger. You're going to see your friends. You're going to... And I know that brunch is like... It's a hot take to be like, brunch is actually great.
I agree with that. I do think that breakfast, it's about efficiency, right? It's about fueling yourself and getting yourself ready for the day. But brunch is an event. It's we're going to do brunch and then we're going to go out, or we're maybe not going to move for the rest of the day because we've had too many drinks, and you can't have a brunch without at least 3 beverages, in my book, at least.
I agree with that.
So there's our line, more or less. Alcohol, vibes, time of day. You heard it here. And I want to dig into some of our favorite breakfast spots. So as I mentioned, longtime favorite Short Stack is closed, but that doesn't mean that a good breakfast isn't hard to find here in Madison. So Lindsay, what are your go-to breakfast spots around town?
So a couple of my favorites, and I will say as a qualifier, I live on the east side, so these are a little bit east side skewed. I haven't been to La Brioche True Food in a minute, but that's probably the first place I'd go if I was on the west side. But I really love Ogden's
Oh,
on the north side.
yes. Yes. It is so cute over there.
They have pigs in a blanket, which is really fun. And it makes me think of being a little kid. So I love the vibe at Ogden's. I really like Lazy Jane's Cafe. That's an iconic one. The fun thing about Lazy Jane's, not just that they like scream at you, they like scream your name. You give them your name and then they scream it. It's in a house on Willie Street, right? So there are people sitting upstairs who need to hear their name. And so it's a thing that some people will give like a goofy name because they yell it out.
Wait, that's so funny. I've only been to Lazy Jane's once and I've never had that. I need to go back.
Yeah, we go a couple times a year. We don't go all the time, but my dad absolutely loves it. So every time he's in town, he's like, Lazy Jane's, Lazy Jane's. And my mom always gets like additional scones to go because they have these massive, amazing scones. They're huge, but they're actually like really light in density. They're not like a heavy, heavy scone. And they have this lemon glaze that they put on them that's so good. They're also like super vegan friendly. They do a tofu scramble, which my dad loves to get. I love doing sort of like a classic breakfast at Lazy Jane's. You know, we have like 2 eggs over easy, rye toast, that kind of thing. But it's just such a wonderfully homey, very specifically Willie Street kind of place to get breakfast.
Absolutely.
I will say the coffee there is not the best. The coffee at Madison Sourdough is a lot better. And the bread is really good. So, it kind of depends on what you want. But Madison Sourdough, I think, has one of the best breakfasts in the city, in part because that bread is so good. But also they give you like a big pile of greens, you know, with like the classic farmer's breakfast. And everything is just so like ample and well balanced and everything's very high quality there. I love Madison Sourdough. I'm a big fan of their breakfast. They and I think Marigold Kitchen downtown would like be my top 2 if I had to pick my 2 favorites. Marigold Kitchen obviously does like breakfast and lunch. It is mobbed during the farmer's market during the summer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But a lot of the rest of the time, it's one of my favorite places to get lunch if I'm meeting somebody for lunch, because I know that they have really lovely, like lots of veggies and things kinds of food, right? So you can get really great quiche and you can get soups and salads and like sandwiches that are like creative, but not so massive that you can only eat half, you know? And they've got a really lovely space there. It's just so sunny and lovely. And they're a very efficient crew over at Marigold. And that's something that I really appreciate. There are some breakfast places that I've been where I'm just sort of like, it's 45 minutes and I don't have my eggs. What's going on?
I mean, breakfast, it is about, like we just said, it's about efficiency. I'm going in, I know what I want, I'm getting it, and I want it to be good and fast and reasonably priced, you hope, right?
Yeah. I know that Bassett Street Brunch Club recently had a redesign, like within the past year. They wanted to sort of update some of the decor, make it a little bit more breakfast to lunch and dinner so that you can kind of pull all the way through. So I think that they're finding their niche and like having people come to them for the things that they are doing the best, which is that breakfast food. I feel like I had a great Benedict there when I went the last time.
I love that. Yeah, when I was in college at UW, my roommate, sophomore and junior year, worked at Brunch Club. And so whenever she would close, she would come back with just a bag full of these donuts. And it was always the best night. And I'm glad to hear that they did a little refresh, because they're a food fight restaurant, right?
Yeah, they are. And Food Fight has been kind of updating some of its concepts. It's one of those things I think that happens when you have a restaurant that's been around for 10 years, 12 years, longer. But yeah, one of my very first jobs was at a bagel shop when I was 15. And every time you would work a shift, we would get like 13 bagels to bring home, like a baker's dozen worth of bagels. And I recently ran into Lisa from Mermaid Bagels.
Oh, amazing.
Friend of the pod.
Yes. We love a crossover.
Yeah. And she was talking about how she's like, I keep thinking about a dozen every shift. I like told her that one thing and she keeps thinking about it. I'm not sure if they're looking for a brick and mortar, but I know that Barrett's Bagels is getting a brick and mortar. And so that's really exciting. So we'll have more places for breakfast bagels, one of my favorite things for breakfast.
More breakfast bagels. Yes, I love that. And I mean, speaking of bagels, you can make a bagel a full meal. It could just be a snack. If you're not looking for like a full on meal, but just need something on the go with your coffee, like what are some of your favorite cafes that you lean on that have good food?
Ancora is a big one. And Ancora for both like sitting down, like especially if you're at the North Side one. I love that North Side one.
Oh, yeah.
The one downtown is quite lovely, but it's usually a bit more crowded, similar to Wonder State. Wonder State is usually pretty crowded, but great food at Wonder State, too. But Ancora and Wonder State both have really good coffee and really good food. If I'm sitting at Ancora, I'm getting the avocado toast. It's great. They have like a vegan version of it, and it's like sneaky vegan. You don't even really notice.
Ooh.
And the other day we were getting in the car for a long drive and, it's always kind of chaotic when we're trying to leave the house. And we swung through the drive-through at Ancora and they will give you like a beautiful biscuit, egg, breakfast sandwich. They're already prepped. They're warm. It's so lovely. And it takes 2 minutes. It was like the fastest, most delicious food. And I was so happy. I was like, this is exactly what I want right now. As fast as they're making your latte, they're like getting your sandwich together. It's just delightful. It's very efficient. That's the one over on Monona Drive.
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah, the new one. I really like Gotham Bagels. They have a smoked salmon bagel there that is kind of my kryptonite. I love it so much. All the sandwiches at Gotham are great. They used to do this collaboration with chefs in Madison where like each chef would design a bagel and I would go and get as many of them as I could and bring them back to the Cap Times newsroom and just like cut them into quarters so everybody could try.
That sounds, we've been saying this. I feel like bagels are coming up so much on the pod recently. And again, I bring it up all the time. Like I'm a Jewish woman. I grew up eating bagels all the time. That is my go-to. And you recently just had some exciting bagels, right?
I did. So I knew I was going to be talking about breakfast with you today. And so I thought, okay, now is the time when I need to go try stuffed bagels.
And I need to know, what is a stuffed bagel? Is this going to be an affront to me or am I going to be excited?
I don't know. I'm going to explain to you what it is and you're going to tell me. So
okay.
Take a bagel, like a wonderfully risen bagel, all baked off, right? And you slice it from the top in like a cross or like a star shape kind of.
Okay.
And you don't slice it all the way through. You slice it most of the way through. And then you stuff those little slits, I guess, with cream cheese and whatever else you want. So there's like a Nutella one and there's like a cream cheese and garlic and there's a cheese curd and corn. I had a BLT one this morning. So it had like chives and tomato and little bacon bits. Oh. And then they take that whole thing and they dunk it in like garlic butter if it's a savory one.
That's amazing.
And I think the Nutella one they do like it's got a cinnamon sugar or something else. There's sweet versions of it. Like there's a strawberry and cream one, but I had a savory one and this whole thing comes out. The whole cost is it's like $7 for this whole thing. And it's like a massive bagel. And it was everything bagels today.
Ooh.
Do you remember pull-apart rolls? Did you ever make pull-apart rolls?
Yeah.
Or not?
Yeah.
It's like that. So you're pulling chunks off the bagel and they have like this warm cream cheese. And it's if you've had like a New York style bagel, it's not as chewy as that. Like it's not as like intense on the outside. It's softer a little bit. I think maybe because of the dunking and the garlic butter.
That might do it. That might be something.
But I was like pulling it apart in my car. And this is like a trendy food, but I was so delighted. I don't know if this will take off. It's a tiny little like storefront in Stoughton. There's no indoor seating and they're like open 3 days a week until they sell out kind of thing. So it's kind of a, get it while you can sort of special. But it's called stuffed bagels. It's called what it is. And I was absolutely delighted. It was a really good breakfast.
It sounds delicious.
Yeah.
It sounds incredibly messy. Do they give you like a bunch of napkins?
I took some because I thought, oh, this is not going to go well for me.
Yeah.
It was not as messy as I thought it was going to be. Like, because the cream cheese is not crumbly, like it has enough cohesion that it stays. The stuffed bagel held together pretty well. I mean, I'm pulling it apart, so.
It's like a choose your own adventure there with that pull apart. Like, which one's going to go down first? Well, hopefully someone does it here in Madison. I'd be curious to see where that goes because it feels very trendy, feels very like TikTok-y, and does it have staying power? And like I said, I love a bagel. I love a breakfast sandwich. I do want to give a shout out to I feel like we've mentioned it before, but the breakfast sandwich over at Zippy Lube.
Yeah.
So good. I think they need to get a little bit more love out there because they are so slept on over on the north side. So go get your coffee. They also do fried chicken, donuts, breakfast for a limited time in the morning. It is very, very yummy.
I feel like another one that I often think about, but I don't go as much as I used to, is Bradbury's with those crepes. That's a great breakfast.
It's so special. So, because who else is doing crepes in Madison?
Yeah.
Not many.
Not many.
La Brioche, maybe, right?
Yeah, right.
Let's dig into brunch, which is like breakfast, but later in the day. And maybe there's some booze involved. I want to talk about places that do brunch because this has been coming up in my life recently. People are like, Hayley, what is your go-to brunch spot? I've recently started this sort of like brunch club with friends where we're trying to go to different places, but it's a little bit harder because with this group of friends, we're a bigger group. There's like 6 of us and there's often children involved. So that is something to keep in mind for us here. But I'm curious to get your takes. Like, what are your favorite brunch spots in Madison? Doesn't need to be for my brunch club specifically, but for for who you would recommend.
So I'm actually going to start with my husband's favorite brunch spot, which is the Sundown Saloon, which is on the east side. It's near Woodman's.
Okay. I've never heard of this until you mentioned it earlier.
It's a bar. It's one of those places where like everybody knows everybody else and they're just delighted that you're there. And they do like a classic dive bar breakfast. The hash browns are freaking great. I feel like places where you can get like hash browns with a piece of American cheese on top of it. Like, yes, thank you very much. I will eat that.
Yes. Potatoes are critical to breakfast or brunch, honestly.
Totally. And you can do, like my husband will like just get a daiquiri with his brunch, but it is a full bar. So like that definitely qualifies in my mind as a place that you can get like a full brunch. My usual go-to spots, I have a couple. If I'm celebrating, it's Sardine.
Yes, literally same. I love Sardine brunch.
I feel like we've been there for brunch for like every anniversary and birthday. And it's not even so much that Sardine is this super, super high-end special occasion kind of place. It's just that's where I want to celebrate. It's so beautiful and the bartenders are lovely. We always sit at the bar. We usually get bubbles. We usually get oysters, but you can do a simpler brunch. And the sleeper thing at Sardine is the savory oats with the crispy egg.
I haven't had it. Tell me more.
You look at it and you're like, oh, it's just oats and an egg. Like, why would I want to it's like the best. It's so good. I think there's greens in there. I don't remember if it's kale, but it's like that kind of like a hearty green. But like they do this like crispy egg. It's like a fried egg with all the crunchy edges on the outsides of it. And it like still is like runny in the middle. Oh, it's so good.
I love that. I love Sardine just because I am a big fan of seafood and I also love a Benedict. So anytime you can incorporate the two, they have that really good sort of like shrimp cake on the menu. And I usually ask for my eggs poached and I'll just make my own sort of Benedict and put it on top.
That's perfect. I think Heritage has great Benedicts. Heritage Tavern has a great brunch, and their Benedicts are really wonderful. Also, excellent brunch, Mint Mark. Mint Mark has a killer brunch, and the thing that I love at Mint Mark often is the chilaquiles, which are like breakfast nachos, basically.
Well, it's like usually day-old tortilla chips, and then they're tossed around in a sauce, and then there's an egg on top, and they're so yummy. And have you had the chilaquiles at Turnkey, actually?
I have had them. I feel like the last couple times they were doing blini. So talk about like with like a lovely smoked salmon, like these little tiny pancakes. They were so cute. They do beignets too at Turnkey for their brunch. And I love those beignets. And they always bring them out. And my husband always gets like a little upset because he knows he's going to get powdered sugar all over himself. And I'm like, you just need to embrace the lack of dignity sometimes.
I think there are a few food items where it's like, there is no dignified way to eat this. Like, there is no dignified way to eat a Chipotle burrito. There is no dignified way to eat these powdery beignets.
There just isn't. And that is okay. I think you just have to accept. I mean, I was eating a stuffed bagel and pulling it apart in the car. And I was like, should I have like gotten a fork? And I was like, no one cares. It's fine.
We're in too deep. You can't go back for forks. You can't do it. Turnkey, I will say too, one, just kind of slept on for brunch in general, but two, they also have a great hash brown. Have you had their hash brown?
Yes, and it's great. They have a build your own Bloody Mary bar there too, which a lot of people really like. And I think Turnkey is a great example of a place that has a little bit more room, perhaps more easily than Sardine, I think, which often gets booked up for brunch. Sardine, though, the sneaky thing about Sardine is that if it's like a graduation weekend or a Mother's Day weekend or something like that, if you're just two people, you can often like sneak in, just first come, first serve, sit at the bar, and there are seats.
That is a hot tip. We do love a bar brunch.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Okay, so we've got Turnkey, Mint Mark, Sardine, Heritage. Also want to throw Gray's into that mix, right? They've got a classic brunch.
I love Gray's. Yes. The bibimbap burrito. That's the thing to get.
Bibimbap burrito, brunch burrito. Say that 6 times fast. I couldn't even say it once.
It's really good. And so I interviewed Tori for my first book about Madison chefs.
Tori Miller, the chef over at Litois and Gray's.
Yeah. And he told me about kind of the origins of that. So the bibimbap that they make at Gray's has pork in it because he had a lot of extra ground pork. He was working with these specific farmers and he's like, well, I got to find a way to use this. And they were making bibimbap like in a more classic kind of way. They were doing like these kind of fried like rice cakes at the bottom. And like they had it in a bowl, like a traditional way or a more common way of doing it, I should say. But he was busy. He's running all around. So he would just wrap it up in a big tortilla and eat it as a burrito. And then they put it on the menu and it's never left.
I love a little happy accident in the spirit of Bob Ross. Go off, Tori Miller.
It's a happy little accident.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, well, I feel like we've covered all of like, or at least a lot of the more like formal sort of fancier places for brunch. What about the spots? Like you mentioned like Wilson's, these sort of divier, maybe places that like you'd go for a burger for dinner, but you wouldn't necessarily categorize as brunch spot.
Yeah. I mean, I think Mickey's Tavern is the one that I used to go to most often when I was living over in that neighborhood. I really liked the brunch there, especially when it's nice outside and you can sit outside in that little patio they have kind of near the river. That's lovely for brunch, actually. Mickey's Tavern is a sleeper hit, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And just their outside in general. That is a favorite of our CityCast team.
Yeah. I did ask a friend, I was like, where would you, like, if you're going for breakfast, like, where are your favorite spots? And he said the Cottage Cafe.
Oh, where's that?
On Atlas Avenue on the east side. And they have like this pancake breakfast combo. And I do feel like brunch and breakfast, if you're going out with other people, like the pancake for the table. We love a pancake for the table.
Yes. No, Lindsay, you are speaking my language. It is always like, ooh, I'm going to get a big savory dish. But like, would anyone be down to maybe like split a side of pancakes?
Pancake for the table. Look at the cap times in the next week or so, and we're going to have a roundup of pancake places. I think just 4 or 5 of them in the campus area. But I've already been hearing back from our photographer, Ruthie, that she's having a great time just taking pictures of pancakes.
Oh my God, I
Syrup drizzles.
Yeah. They should get real artsy. I mean, we didn't shout it out in the breakfast spot, but Original Pancake House, that also exists over on the west side. Classic.
Oh, yeah. Or like a Perkins. My gosh, it takes me back to being a kid and going to Perkins. And I think a lot of those sort of classic diner breakfasts, like I live really close to the diner on Fair Oaks, and it often won't occur to me to go for things that are pretty basic that I can make at home. But I think that's part of the joy of breakfast is like having somebody make you something that is pretty simple, but it's just good. And it makes you feel comforted and fed in a lovely way.
Well, that was actually one of my questions, because I have had a friend who, for the longest time, would not go out to breakfast, not go out to brunch with me. They were always like, it's too expensive and I can make this at home and I'm not going to pay $3 for an egg. And like, I don't know. So you think brunch, you think breakfast, it's worth it no matter what.
I mean, I think it means that something is going well in my life. It means like I've got people visiting or I'm on vacation or I have a day off. And it is really like going out for breakfast for me is definitely a signifier of like I get to relax a little bit. And that's always quite lovely. Also, I love eggs in pretty much every single form with the exception of Thousand Year.
I also love eggs. I can't get enough. I do love it. And I love getting into all of these like dives and secret spots too. And, when we're talking about these dives, I do have to bring up Bennett's Meadowood Country Club. They are the hosts of the infamous Smut and Eggs Breakfast, aka Porn in the Morn. Lindsay, have you ever been?
No, because it says porn in the morn. And I'm immediately like, oh, not for me, not for me, not for me.
Guard your virgin eyes. Well, maybe guard your virgin ears because I have been.
What's it like? Is the food good?
Here's the thing. Food is great. The food is great and very reasonably priced. They have, it's very much a classic greasy spoon situation. They only do the porn on Saturdays. It is Saturdays, 6 a.m. until noon. And it's exactly what you'd expect, right? Like, I'm not going to get too graphic here, but it's just a bunch of people. And like the clientele there was like pretty chill, right? It was just a bunch of people who just also happened to be in this room at once. And we're all having a great brunch. And it was a good time. And you got to be with the right group of people. I think it could very easily go wrong. And I think it's like if you can handle it, like, I think it's a experience at least once type of deal.
I feel like I would be like distracted and blushing furiously the entire time, which would be entertaining to some people, but maybe not as relaxing for me. It depends.
If we're saying the purpose of our breakfast is to go out and relax, maybe that's not your scene, right? And that's so fair.
But it is for some folks. And the world is a rich tapestry.
That is so true, Lindsay. And this has been so much fun. And I want to wrap up this conversation with something fun because you've mentioned in several different ways that all great breakfast spots usually have some sort of like platter on the menu with eggs and a potato and usually a meat of your choosing and some sort of carbs. So, Lindsay, I want to pose the question to you. If you could build the ultimate Madison breakfast or brunch platter, maybe we're adding a bloody there somewhere. What would you put on it?
So I am a Bloody Mary girl over mimosas. And I like a lot of veggies and I like a lot of pickles in it. So like pickled everything, lots of vegetables.
Are you building this platter on the Bloody Mary?
Yeah, it's going to be like balanced on the top. I really like my favorite way to have eggs is with runny yolks. So I'm usually doing like an over easy egg or a fried egg or a poached egg, something like where you stick it with a fork and it goes.
Yes.
Lovely.
Yes.
I always want that.
Those.
And then I want some kind of bread product to soak it up. So usually if I'm like at a diner, I want like it to be like rye bread. I love rye bread with a little bit of butter on it. Obviously, Madison sourdough has like some of the best breads for soaking up egg yolk. So I would do that. And then I really, so at Ogden's, I like their sausages, but most places I like to do bacon and I like a thicker cut, but still crispy bacon.
I love that, Lindsay. We are the same French order.
That is fantastic. I also like to have like a little bit of greens. So like often if I'm making breakfast or brunch for us here at the house, I'll do like just a really simple vinaigrette with some fresh greens, just as like a contrast. And I also really love a hash brown. I feel like hash browns are like the best kind of breakfast potato.
I think that's beautiful. I would maybe add some cheese on those hash browns because we are in Wisconsin after all. Why not? And obviously there are going to be at least 1 or 2 cheese curds as a garnish on that Bloody Mary too. So this
Of
sounds like
course.
a beautiful platter. I would have to say, I think the only thing I would add would be several more beverages, right?
Ooh,
Maybe
yes.
some coffee from Collectivo.
This is my whole thing with brunch. I have to have at minimum 3 beverages. I need some kind of caffeination, I need some kind of alcohol, and I need water to hydrate. So like I become like full beverage goblin. Like if I have 3, 4 is great. Like as many types of beverages as and I want all of them, and I want them simultaneously.
I love it so much. Well, Lindsay, I will see you at brunch because this has been so much fun.
Thank you so much. This was really fun.
That's Lindsay Christians, Cap Times food and culture editor. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm executive producer Hayley Sperling, sitting in for your host, Bianca Martin. Don't forget, you can support this show and get some great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor. Just head to membership.citycast.fm. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this episode with someone in your life who's a beverage goblin? We'll be back here tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until next time, take good care. Thanks for listening and enjoy your brunch.